In our last lecture, we had a high-level overview of what an API-powered website is and how it works. Now, as we begin to create a web API, it is important for us to understand the different architectural styles which we can follow while developing a web API. So for example, we have different architectural styles which we can follow while developing a web API, like the RESTful APIs or the GraphQL APIs. So in this course, we are going to focus on building a web API using REST architecture. And when we create a web API using REST architecture, it can also be called as RESTful API. So REST API is a highly popular and powerful architectural style that has become the most widely used standard for web APIs. In this lecture, I will provide you a high-level overview of what a REST API is, and we will also go through the key principles of REST architecture which a web API should follow in order to become a RESTful API. Now, what do we mean by REST APIs? So, REST stands for Representational State Transfer, and it is a way of building web APIs in a logical way, making them easy to consume. REST is an architectural style for designing networked applications and APIs that uses the fundamental principles of web itself. Remember that REST is not a protocol or a strict standard. Rather, it is a set of guidelines and constraints that, when followed, lead to APIs that are scalable, simple, and reliable. So, when we create an API, it can be consumed by our own application, or it can also be consumed by any third-party application. And that's why we need to make the process of consuming the API as smooth as possible. And that we can achieve with the help of REST APIs. And remember that when I say REST API, I mean web API which follows REST architecture, which follows REST principles. Now, to build a REST API, that means an API which follows the REST architecture, we just need to follow a few principles which every REST API should adhere to. So these principles are client server principle, stateless principle, cacheable principle, uniform interface, layered system, and code on demand. This last principle here, it is optional. So any web API which follow these principles, we can call them as REST APIs. So let's go through each of these principles one by one, and let's understand what do we mean by these principles. And let's start with client server principle. So this principle is about separation of concern. It dictates that the client and server should be completely independent of each other. The client is responsible for user interface and user experience, while the server handles data storage, business logic, and API functionalities. So we have a client and a server. The client can be a mobile app, a web browser, or it can also be another server. Now, the client sends a request to the server and the server sends a response back to the client. And these two can be developed and updated independently as long as the interface remains the same. So the front-end developers can work on developing the client application and the back-end developers can work on developing the server application. And these two applications are independent of each other. Now let's say currently I have developed my web API using Node.js. Now in future, I plan to change the programming language and the framework which I am using here. Let's say I plan to change from Node.js to Python. In that case, the client application should not be affected by that as long as the endpoint and the data which the client is expecting remains same. Okay, so the client only needs to know the API endpoint and the data format. The server can be replaced by other technology like Python Flask API, and as long as the endpoint and the data format does not change, the client app continue to work seamlessly. So this is what the client server principle means. Client and server are independent of each other. Anything changes on the server does not affect the functionality of the client as long as the server is still exposing the same endpoint with the same data format. Next, we have stateless principle. So this is a core principle of RESTful APIs. It means that each request from a client to the server must contain all the information that the server needs in order to fulfill the request. The server should not store any context or session state about the client between the request. So for example, let's say here I have a client and a server. The client is basically a web application where I'm displaying a list of products. Now currently I'm displaying the products for the third page. Now if the user wants to go to fourth page, he will have to click on this button with this value 4. And when this button is clicked, when the user wants to go to the fourth page, from the client, I want to send a request to the server requesting for all the products which the client has to display in page 4. For that, what I'm doing is here I'm making a get request to this products resource, and there in the URL, I also have another segment which is next page. So when the URL contains next page in the segment, that means the server has to look for this URL segment. If it contains next page, then the server has to calculate what will be the next page based on the current page value. So the current page is page number 3. So from the previous request, the server would have stored the current page value in this current page variable. And now for the current request, it has to calculate the value for next page. So to the current page, it is adding 1 and it is calculating the value for next page. And for the next page, the server will send all the products which it has to display in the next page. So that will be sent in the response. But here if you notice, what the server has to do is for each request, it has to save the data for the current page. And when the next request comes requesting data for the next page, the server has to do the calculation to calculate the next page, and based on that, send the response to the client. So this process is not stateless because here on the server, we are saving some data for each request. And as we learned about the stateless principle, it states that server should never store any context or session state about the client between the requests. Basically, whenever a request comes from the client, on the server, we should never store any data. So for that, what we need to do is all the information which the server needs in order to process the request, we need to send it from the client. So here, instead of making a request like this, what we can do is we can send a request something like this, where in the request URL itself, we are telling that the current page is 4. So I want to get all the products which I need to display in page 4. And then the server has to check this page query parameter. From there, it can read the value of the current page, and for that page, it can create a response and send back to the client. So here we are not saving anything on the server. We are not saving any data on the server. And this is called as stateless request and response. So for this principle, the server treats every request as independent request. It treats every request as a new request. And on the server, no data gets saved. Any information the server needs, we need to send it from the client, either by using the request URL or by using the request body. But nothing should be saved on the server. The next principle is cacheable principle. So clients should have the ability to cache responses to improve performance and reduce server load. A REST API response must explicitly or implicitly declare whether it is cacheable and for how long it is cacheable. So for example, again, I have a client and a server. The client is requesting for products data, and the server is going to send that products list in the response. But with that, the server can also set a header on the response like this cache control header, which tells that this response can be cached by the client, and for how long that request can be cached, that also we need to specify. Here we are telling that the max age for the response which this server is sending, that can be cached for 1 hour. But this value can also be increased and decreased. But here the server includes caching information in the HTTP response, and the client can store a copy of the response and use it for future requests, avoiding unnecessary calls to the server. And this is especially useful for resources that don't change very often. So this is cacheable principle. Next, we have uniform interface principle. And this is the most fundamental principle, the most fundamental constraint you can say that separates REST API from other architectural styles. This principle says that for a given resource, the endpoint should be same, but based on the HTTP method used, it should perform different tasks. Now, a resource can be anything on which we want to perform CRUD operation. For example, hotels can be a resource, bookings can be a resource, users can be a resource, products can be a resource, etc. So on each of these resources, we can perform CRUD operation. In simple terms, we can say that a resource is something which stores some information. Also, if you notice, the resource name is always plural, and this is by convention. Okay, so let's say I have created a web API, and in that web API, I have an endpoint to get all the hotels. So the web API is going to fetch all the hotel objects from the database, and it is going to send it back to the client. So in order to do that, I have to create endpoints like get all hotels to get all the hotels, create hotel in order to create a new hotel, update hotel to update an existing hotel, delete hotel to delete an existing hotel. And if I want to get a hotel object by its ID, for that I will have to create another endpoint called get hotel by ID. So these are the endpoints the web API is exposing to perform different tasks. Now, if you see here, these endpoints, these resources, they does not have a common name. They are not uniform. So this does not follow the uniform interface principle. The uniform interface principle simply says that the resource, the endpoint should be same. Here, if you see, the endpoints are different. We do not have same endpoint name. So if we have to follow the uniform interface principle, we will follow it like this. Here you will notice that for each of these actions, for getting all the hotels or creating a new hotel or updating a hotel or for deleting a hotel or getting a hotel by its ID, for all of them, we have a uniform endpoint and the endpoint is /hotels. The only thing which is changing is the HTTP method which we are using. So for example, for getting all the hotels, we are using this get method to get all the hotels. If I want to create a hotel, then the HTTP method is post, but the resource is still hotels. Now, in order to update a hotel, the HTTP method is batch. The resource is still hotels, but here, since we want to update a single hotel at a time, after this hotels, we also need to specify a unique identifier using which we want to update the hotel. Generally, it is the ID of the resource. So for update, delete, and getting a resource by its ID, after the endpoint, we also need to specify the unique identifier using which we can identify that resource. So for example, if I want to update a hotel with ID 20, then I will send a patch request to the same endpoint, to the same resource, which is hotels. But there I will also have to specify the value of the unique identifier using which I will select that hotel object and update it. Same is true for delete and get also. But the main point which you need to remember here is the endpoint, the resource is uniform. It is same. It is not changing. Here, only the HTTP method which we are using for performing different actions on that resource, that is changing. And this is called as uniform interface principle. And this is the most important principle in a RESTful API. Then we have layered system principle. So a REST architecture allows for multiple layers of servers between the client and the final server that stores the data. And a client does not have any way to know whether it is directly connected to the end server or it is connected to an intermediary server. So here layers can be used for different things like for example load balancing or security using firewall or caching using a CDN server, etc. And each layer can have its own functionality without affecting the client's perspective. So client still does not know if there is any layer between the client and the end server, which is serving the data. So for example, let's say we have a client and we have a server where our web API is hosted. So when a client sends a request to the API, the request might first hit a load balancer, which then routes it to one of the several application servers. That application server then might communicate with a separate database server. So the client is unaware of this multi-layered system and it simply receives a response from the initial endpoint. And this is called as layered system. Finally, we have code on demand, and this is the only optional principle. Basically, this principle allows the server to temporarily extend or customize the functionality of a client by sending executable code, like sending JavaScript code in the response. And this is very similar to how a web browser downloads and executes JavaScript to enable dynamic behavior. All right, so now we know the principles of REST architecture. Now from the next lecture, we are going to start developing a web API which follows REST pattern. So I hope now you understand what is a REST architecture, what are its principles, and what each principle means. This is all from this lecture. If you have any questions from this lecture, then feel free to ask it. Thank you for listening and have a great day.